Don't startle me.
To our second topic. This is your topic.
It is. So I'm not a competitive game player. I don't play comp in anything.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I play games that are competitive, I'm not competitive in them. But I have a friend who's really competitive in AFPSs, which is one of the smallest competitive.
It's a very niche scene.
It's a really
very
small
niche.
scene.
So if you were, could you like elevator pitch what a AFPS is?
It's like Quake. It's like an arena first-person shooter. So, but they're like really specific. Like everyone who's a big fan of anything is. So it's like, is this an AFPS? It's technically blah blah blah, but it's like, no, it's not. They're like really specific. It's like usually, it's got your rocket launchers and your rail guns, and you got to run around and pick up the armor and the mega health and blah blah blah, and it's just like Quake 1 stuff.
Classic
stuff.
like Quake.
But the big one he plays is Reflex, which he's trying to grow the scene on that because I've played it quite a bit, like I don't know, maybe 75 hours, and it's really good.
Oh, quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Well,
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. It's mainly because he's like, yo, I need someone to play with because there's only 3 people online and they're all from Europe and the connection's awful. So I'm like, all right, I'll play with you. And then he just crushes me and I'm just like, well, this was fun.
All right. I'll just go cry tonight. I didn't have anything else better to do.
He's like, you did good, champ. You'll get him next time. I'm just like, thanks, Dad. But so he plays Reflex a lot, but I mean, he kind of plays them all because they're kind of like interchangeable. Like I think the big one is Quake Champions. That's the newest one coming out.
Yeah.
But they're all interchangeable. Like if you're good at one, you're probably going to be good at all of them. But Reflex is the big one. And but yeah, there's like no people playing most of those games. Even Quake Champions isn't really that. I mean, like when there's like a free weekend or whatever, there's like a bunch of people playing it. But like,
and that's still in beta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's been in beta for like a while, like a year at least. Yeah.
It's been a minute, but. Yeah. So, but like even with like the fighting games, because that's the thing I know more about. Like. It's already like a small scene. I mean, it's not like nearly as bad as AFPSs, but it's not like, I feel nearly as big as some of the other ones. Like, I don't know, the MOBA scene. Probably.
Well, like Evo has started to like kind of rise up.
Yeah,
they
were
bit.
at Mandalay Bay last year.
Yeah, and then like what was crazy was like I've watched. Like that was on ESPN 1 year, like probably like 2 years ago, and my dad and I watched like the Evo championship, and I was like, "This is crazy how this is like on TV right now."
Yeah, that was surreal, and it was also really cool because there was like one American, he got like this crazy big standing ovation against these like the 7 Japanese. It was like a Rocky movie. I like so wanted him to conquer them and him deliver like some pro-America speech, but no, it didn't happen. He got 7th. He beat one person though, so
hey, there you go. He didn't get last.
But yeah, so like it is getting bigger. Like fighting games are getting bigger. I actually think that there's gonna be a huge surge because. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of the game Rising Thunder.
Is that the mech one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a mech fighting game.
It won a game of the year, or no, it was nominated for something like a couple years ago.
Yeah. So what it's like trying to do is like essentially make fighting games more accessible. So as opposed to having inputs, it has buttons. So like it's kind of like skills, like in a MOBA.
Okay.
So like you'll use your special, like a Hadouken or whatever it may be, and then it goes on cooldown, and you have to wait till the cooldown's up, and then that kind of stuff. So it's kind of lowering the barrier of entry for fighting games to kind of create like a middle ground from like Tekken, Street Fighter, where like you have to learn all your combos,
all
and
the
stuff like
combos,
that.
all the counters.
So is it kind of like I don't know if you've played the Mortal Kombat X thing, but is it kind of like that where is it Mortal Kombat or Injustice or one of the two that have like that meter and then like you can like hit Y to get the super one or you can get the hit X to use like the middle one or something?
Oh, that's that's MKX. Yeah,
okay,
they do that.
Is it kind of like that or is it this is
no,
like
it's
totally
just,
different?
It's straight up like a MOBA, like
a fighting game that plays like a MOBA.
Huh,
yeah, you have like skills.
Yeah,
and you have skills and they just go on cooldown. And obviously, like the better ones are gonna have longer cooldowns, blah blah blah. But it was really well received. I mean, they stopped work on it, and the reason why is because it got bought out by Riot. Fun fact, bringing the MOBAs in. So I'm calling it. They're gonna make a League of Legends themed fighting game that's gonna play.
All
like
right,
Rising
date
Thunder.
this.
I'm calling
date this
it right
video
now.
right now.
Babe Ruth pointing at the but
Is this like a steak dinner bet? Is this a steak dinner bet?
Yeah. I'll bet you a steak dinner.
All right. How about this? I'll take you up on it.
Okay.
All right. So when are we seeing?
Oh, dude, it's gonna be a long time. I knowing Riot, they're just gonna sit on it for a bit. But I mean, at the same time, fighting games are getting bigger anyway.
Yeah.
Just bigger and bigger. Like Dragon Ball FighterZ was the biggest release, but I think that's just because of the brand property of power of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Like it could.
And it looks like Dragon Ball.
It looks like it's the greatest looking Dragon Ball game.
Yeah, because
I'm not even a big fan, but I'm into it. I'm like, yeah.
I saw it at PAX and I was like, man, it's crazy how that fan base is. Like how so many people love it still, and like I mean, it kind of got a revive a little bit, right? Like there's a new series and everything, but it's still like so many people love that. It's kind of like I don't want to relate it too much like Pokemon, but you know, there's that fan base. There's
a culture
that
thing.
fan base.
It's definitely like it's like a freaking movement. So the fact that it came out and it was as good as it was, and it was like polished and looked like Dragon Ball and all that crap. I mean, it's
like South Park Stick of Truth, where it's like it looks like you're watching the cartoon, and it's like this is it.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think that fighting games are going to be growing. There's actually the big controversy right now, as of time of recording this, is they announced the Evo lineup. So the main games that are going to be on stage, or not on stage, but like streamed for the weekend, they're all going to be there, obviously, because there's always like side things, but like on the mainstream and stuff. And
the one that will probably be on ESPN. What.
And so Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is not listed.
Oh.
But there are my problem is that there's 2 Smash games. They have Melee and Smash 4. And my problem
I didn't even know Smash 4 was like a following.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really broken apparently, but I don't know. I don't play it, so don't ask me. But for me, it's just like I would rather them pick one or the other for those, and then always have a spot. Maybe not for Marvel per se. I'm a big Marvel fan. I didn't like Infinite that much, but like I still think it deserves to be there just because it's always been there. But that's just me. Yeah, I'm not too brokenhearted. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. But yeah. So I think what a cool thing that they should do is like for Evo is to like I don't know, maybe try to get eyes on some of the smaller things, because the problem is that they're only playing like the big titles, and that sucks because, for instance, let's say a new game comes out and like it could have a big following because it's a good game and it's, you know, beautiful, whatever, but they just don't show it on stream. I feel like that's your time to grow the scene. You know, you show as many games as you can. Like the example I always use is the year Skullgirls came out. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yeah, Skullgirls.
Yeah. Speaking of free games, because it's always like $2.
Yeah. Or it's always on PlayStation Plus. I swear that thing's been on PlayStation Plus like 5 or 6 times.
Right. So it's the year it came out, it wasn't on the main stream, and it was just like, well, let's watch all these old games that people were still playing. This was back when like they were still playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3, like whatever, like years later, and that's fine. I mean, like it's like one of the stalwarts of Evo, so like obviously it deserves to be there. But like we had 2 Smashes then. And it's like all right, well, cool.
You're taking up a spot where you can easily try to have some other game that could get some light shine on themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's what Evo should be. It should be for the people, not so much the players.
Yeah,
you know, it should be like trying to grow the scene.
The industry, the money is not where it should probably be found. But
and I mean, it's just one of those things that like, so essentially, you end up with a game that's dead on arrival.
So why was Dragon Ball not selected? Was it selected?
It is. Yeah.
So that's gonna be on the stage.
Yeah. So the big games, there's like 8 of them.
Okay.
It's Smash, the 2 Smashes, Street Fighter 5, Dragon Ball, Injustice 2, and then the new BlazBlue, like Chrono Phantasm or whatever, and then Guilty Gear. Okay. So like it's got all those.
Those are some big names. Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I think that you should definitely they should set aside like a couple of the games, and there should be like, all right, look, these should be like the new games that came out this year, and like try to grow the scene for those games and try to get eyes on them, because like at the end of the day, the more you grow your scene, the more people that are going to be into it, and then you're just going to have like this. Yeah,
it kind of reminds me of like. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the Super Bowl this year, but I mean, I didn't really much either. I was working, but whatever. When I was watching it, I was like, there was commercials of the NFL, and I was like, wait, so you could easily be advertising like another thing. And you chose to advertise yourselves, and so that's what it's kind of reminding of like, it's like if you were watching WrestleMania and then all of a sudden they're like, tune in for Monday Night Raw, and it's like, wait, I already know Raw exists. Like you don't need to like advertise.
Like the people that are already watching know.
Yeah.
About the NFL
Did you know that football exists?
Guys,
wait, what? I turned to ABC for what?
At the same time, for like football, especially like the Super Bowl, where it's like people who don't even watch football watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I used to argument there.
But there were so many. But yeah,
but I get what you're saying.
That's what kind of reminds me of is like of that same thing of like you could easily have filled in that gap for even business purposes. Like you could easily have filled in that gap for advertisement purposes, but you like just didn't want to because of I mean, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing to think about. But I mean, like competitive gaming in general, I know we watched Smite for a while. That was kind of a thing.
Back when we were playing,
where money was being lit on fire. But yeah, no, it was that was what we watched, and I remember watching that. I remember even when League of Legends was starting to get that big build up of I was watching League every so often. I've been to a League of Legends North American regional game, which I was like, this is weird, like, because I don't know what's happening, and everyone is excited. Because it was at PAX, and I was like, I'll watch. And then
I was there that year, and then like they had like the stream set up and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and was like, I'll watch a game.
Exactly. And there's this long line, and it's like, wait, what's this long line for? And they're like, oh, it's just to go sit. You don't actually play the game. You can go play the game over there, and there's like no one over there. And I was like. But yeah, it was. I watched a few, and it's definitely entertaining to watch and like to be in that environment. And but it's, I guess, like, and the other thing is like you learn how to play those games by watching those pro players play.
Here's a fun thing I can
fun
talk
little
about
tidbit.
Fun little tidbit. So last year, you know how they had Street Fighter V, like the grand finals were on ESPN and all that kind of stuff. They actually changed the announcers for the ESPN show versus the Twitch stream, and the people that were doing the ESPN show were doing a very like beginner friendly like, so what he's doing now. But
as they're reading up of their hand, but he's it blurred. Sorry, my Sharpie kind of smeared here.
Yeah, but I was like, that's perfect. Like, they should totally have like, if you're gonna go for like the wide appeal, then you should have someone that's gonna be like, all right, idiots, listen up. I'll learn something.
They're John Madden of announcers.
Exactly. No, John Madden over-explained. Here you got a fighter. Here you got another fighter, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna fight each other in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom. That's it.
He's like circling the screen in the middle and everything.
Yeah. Are there drawings? Do they draw the screen?
No. I would be so into that if they did though.
Replay. Pause. Replay.
So hold on just a second. If we just scroll back here, it's just like
if you cut
panning
right
back
to frame 16.
Yes. Let's just take a look here. Zoom in. You can see right in the background. There's a dead pixel.
Unbelievable. Don't buy this game. Scene dead.
Street Fighter V unplayable.
Yeah, so like I was like, that's perfect. Like they should totally, if you're gonna try to grow the scene, is just have like, hey, this is how the game, what they're doing, and this is why it's so impressive, you know? Because there's a lot of things when you watch any competitive thing ever, you know, like not just games, like sports and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that you wouldn't recognize are like things that they're thinking about, you know?
I think what kind of that the issue of why they probably can't do that right now is since everyone is still playing, there's no like retired gamers yet. There's none like, because when you look back at like sport, well, I mean, like, do they bring them on like how they do with like baseball games where they'll bring on like an old baseball player and then a journalist, and then there's this combination of people?
I mean, that's just it. It's like when are you gonna really retire from gaming? You know?
It's true.
Not like it's like,
I'm sorry, I got carpal tunnel. Like, it ain't gonna
body
work
don't move
Well,
just like just crunching your hand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like there's that one team that plays Counter-Strike. They play Counter-Strike. What, the Silver Foxes?
The Silver Foxes.
Yeah.
What? They're a bunch of old geriatric folk.
Yeah, they're like what, 70 plus.
I think
it's
they're all like 60 plus. Yeah.
Nice.
And they're the Silver Foxes.
Yeah, they're called the Silver Foxes, and they play CS:GO competitively.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
I'm like all about that.
I mean,
but yeah, it's sorry, but like that's kind of what I'm saying. Is
Yeah.
like that is where for example, when you watch like the college football game day or whatever, they have like Lee Corso, who's an old, he is old, but he's a college football coach, and like you have this other people.
You think his dentures are gonna fly out?
I mean,
is that the guy?
Dude, I love
it's
that
not
guy.
even cold out here.
Sounds like a skeleton.
No, but there's I think until we get to that point of like, there's not just shoutcasters.
Yeah.
There's not just this. There's commentators. Yeah. And
that's one thing that I feel like the MOBA competitive scene does really well is they have like analysts that'll be like break down like kind of like play by play what everyone's doing in like a team fight or whatever, and they like analyze and they're explaining like, well, he was doing this and he was doing that, and it's just like, all right, cool, because like obviously even if you play, let's say you play League or whatever, you don't understand why they did certain things that they did unless you're like at that level. You know? Like you've played like,
why did that guy just go into the jungle and then just pop out of nowhere? Like what was the whole
so like exactly, like just explaining stuff, and like that's how you grow a scene. I mean, it's kind of baby and pandering, and like maybe it makes for a less interesting stream, but like that's why I thought it worked that they had 2 different people announcing on each thing, because then it's just like, all right, there's the hardcore fans that are going to want to hear this shoutcaster, and then there's the people who are just like turned to ESPN and they're like, this isn't football.
What are they doing?
So that's kind of what I'm getting at, is just like, there are ways to grow a competitive scene, but I don't know, I feel like we're going to have a huge explosion in fighting games, but like my friend, he's just stuck in AFPSs, and I don't think that's gonna grow.
One day.
Because like Quake Champions.
I mean, Quake and all them, like they were the heyday like back in the mid-90s.
Quake is still played as an esport.
It's just
very very small.
Yeah, it's a very small community. But I mean, I remember growing up, like that was the game to play. I never had a computer that could play it. Yeah. But that was the game was Quake.
Yeah, I think that maybe like when Bethesda finally takes that thing out of beta, it might. I don't know.
It's not. I don't feel like it's gathering that much.
Is it ever gonna come to console, or is it always just gonna stick on?
Well, after they implement,
that'd be weird to play an AFPS. Okay, I'm just saying. Have you ever watched someone play an AFPS? Their mouse sensitivity,
it's like
whoosh, whoosh. It's like, play that on a controller. It's like, no. See, my friend's really weird because he plays like he sets the keyboard on his lap. Okay. And then he has his mouse and like he has like this long mouse pad. And he like sweeps and I'm just like, oh man. What? He's got a really jacked right arm. I'll tell you that.
But he can throw a wicked curveball.
Exactly. Yeah.
Any final thoughts on it, or anything else you would like to talk about?
No, but the League of Legends Rising Thunder crossover is going to be big.
Yeah. Steak dinner.
Steak dinner, yeah.
I'm going to say, all right, we got to put a year on it. 2020.
I'm not putting a year on it.
You got to do that in order for me to bet. You can't just infinite amount.
So wait, are we talking about announcement or game release?
Let's go with announcement.
Is it that I'm right and that's the concept?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. You would be right. That Riot has to come out and go, yes, we have teamed up with.
Well, no. That's already known.
Oh, okay. And then fine, you almost got a free secret. That they're announcing that they have got
they're gonna
the game. Here's the game.
The game from the game's characters to League of Legends.
They've officially it is a League of Legends fighting game. Like as soon as Riot says those words, then that's the win.
That's fair.
Okay.
I'll take that.
But it has to be like it has to put a year on it at least.
All right. If it's not out by 2020.
Okay.
All right. So we're going by.
All right, there it is. It's official. It's official.
So we're going by release and not announcement.
Yeah, just as long as we know what the concept is.
It has to just be it just has to be said that the League of Legends fighting game.
I'm calling it
2020.
It's gonna happen.
Okay.
That's 2 years. It's on the board right here.
It's on the books.
That's right.
Books.
And then wherever we are, I have to contact you.
I'm in another continent, and I'll have to fly back when I'm right.
And I'll buy you a great steak at Applebee's.
No, it's my choice. Same with you.
Okay, all right, fine. All right,
fine. Go just PayPal you that.
Yeah, exactly. However that much is.
PayPal me the bill.
Here's $20. Have fun with steak.
Just eating dinner by myself. And I'm just like, oh, this is free though.
Are you, sir? I see you ordered the 17-ounce steak. Are you celebrating anything? Yes, I am.
I won a bet.
Alone though.
Just being correct, you know. That's all.
This is what happens when you're right.
Winners. That's all I'm saying.
We're moving on.